Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. My name is Clay Lexon, and I'm one of the engineers with the City of Moorhead. This is an informational video for an upcoming street construction project in your neighborhood that is proposed to take place during the summer of 2025. In this video, we'll cover several different topics, including the city's pavement management program, a description of the proposed work, a funding summary, and ways for you to provide comments and input. We'll also let you know how to stay up to date as the project progresses. Before I get into the specifics of this project, I want to mention one additional source of information that you might find helpful. The city has a dedicated website that provides information on the city's pavement management program. If you've never heard of a pavement management program, that's okay. This will be a great place for you to check out. In addition to providing background on what a pavement management program is, you'll get information on how the city selects projects, work strategies for major projects, a deeper explanation of funding and assessments, and a lot more. There are great interactive mapping tools that show where projects are located across the city. That includes past projects, current projects, and upcoming projects. You can click on street lines for additional information. And there is another informational video on there as well. It's a great supplemental source of information to this video. If you go to the city's website and navigate to the engineering page, you'll find the link to the pavement management program story map page. It's circled here in red. And if you click on that, you'll arrive at this page, and then you can scroll through the page at your own pace. Now I'll go through the history of the project and the existing conditions. So per city record, all roads in the project area were constructed in the mid-1950s and early 1960s. There really haven't been any significant street construction projects since then. Some minor maintenance work has been performed on these streets, including seal coats and a couple of minor overlay projects to act as stopgap measures or ways to prolong the road life. Many of the pedestrian ramps in the project area do not currently meet ADA standards, so those will be replaced. Generally, this means that they are too steep, they do not have detectable warning panels, or they have very uneven surfaces. There are also several isolated segments of sidewalk that will be replaced, so we'll make them ADA compliant, but most of the sidewalk within the project area will be left as is. There are also several isolated segments of curb and gutter that will be replaced or repaired to improve drainage on the street, but not all of the curb and gutter will be replaced. The storm sewer is in good condition, and so no improvements are proposed to the storm sewer. The sanitary is generally in acceptable condition. The city periodically televises the sanitary sewer mains and then makes repairs when defects are identified. At the present time, no repairs are necessary. Some of the water mains are PVC pipe and some are cast iron pipe. The cast iron pipe is susceptible to corrosion, and therefore Moorhead Public Service will be replacing the cast iron mains as a part of the city street project. Some gas mains are in need of replacement, and we'll talk about that more on the following slides. Now I'll go over some of the specific project information about what we're proposing to do in your neighborhood. The proposed street improvements for this area include both mill and overlay and rehabilitation projects. The image shows the type of work that we're proposing to do and where it will be. We're proposing a mill and overlay on 13th Street between 12th and 20th Avenue South. This will include removing and replacing a couple inches of pavement on the existing road with some areas of pavement patching. We're also proposing a rehab on 14th Avenue South between 11th and 14th Street and 18th Street between 12th and 18th Avenue South. A rehab includes the complete replacement of the pavement section, however the curb and gutter would largely remain in place. Sidewalks are proposed to be constructed where the orange lines are shown, so on the west and south sides adjacent to Lamb Park. This work has been requested by the Public Works Department to provide proper pedestrian and ADA access into the park, and we'll be contacting the affected property owners prior to sidewalk installation. The city will also be replacing Moorhead Public Service existing cast iron water main as a part of the street project on 18th Street South. That work is shown as the blue dashed line. Lastly, Xcel Energy usually replaces their existing gas lines prior to the city street project. Though this has not yet been confirmed, it is expected that they'll be in this project area. And note that their work is completely separate from the city street project. On this slide, I've got some generic project information. So the anticipated start date for this project would be sometime in May or June. It's a large enough project that we'd expect the contractor to want to get an early start, but it will be dependent on the contractor's schedule, and it'll be weather dependent as well. The final completion date for this project is estimated to be near the end of September. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the entire project area will be in a state of construction from May to the end of September, nor is it a guarantee that the work will be completed by then. It just means that the contractor has that window of time per the contract to complete the project. And if they do not complete it by that date, the city may consider applying financial penalties. The project will also be completed in phases, and each phase has a specific amount of time allotted for construction. During construction, there will be times, especially in the rehab areas, where residents will not have access to their driveways, and you'll need to park their vehicles on nearby streets that are not under construction. When this becomes necessary, you'll be notified several days in advance. Access will be changing throughout the project depending on the scope of work in that area and then at what stage the project is. If you have questions about the access, please contact one of our staff. Our field staff will be the best source of information for you on this topic during construction. If you need any special considerations for access, please contact us as soon as possible so that we can do our best to provide accommodations. For example, this may include residents that use a wheelchair or residents who frequently make use of the FM Ride Source program. Please feel free to speak to us about your situation and we'll do our best to accommodate you. We will notify the police department that we have construction in the area, so they should not be ticketing if you're parked on a side street. If you do get a ticket, contact me and we'll work to get it resolved. Garbage and recycling pickup will happen more or less like normal. If the trucks cannot get through to you to pick up the containers, we'll ask that you just bring your container to the end of your driveway like normal, and then the contractor will round up the containers and bring them to a common location for collection. And then after collection, they'll be returned to you. If this becomes necessary, we ask that you put your name and house number somewhere on the container so that it can be returned to you. As I mentioned previously, Xcel Energy will more than likely have gas main replacement projects in this area. It's likely that they are also going to want to get an early start on the project. We're mentioning this because this is likely going to be a very busy project area with a lot of work happening. So if you see Xcel Energy starting to do their work, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're also about to begin construction on the street. We do, however, want to note that when Xcel Energy starts their work, there will be areas in the road where they're excavating sections of sidewalk that they will remove as they work to reconnect services, and sections of curb and gutter that they may remove as well. Generally, when they do this, they maintain full access for residents. On to assessments. So assessments on this project are expected to generate approximately $527,000 in front footage assessments. The front footage assessment rate depends on the scope of work, whether it's a mill and overlay, a rehab, or a reconstruct, and that rate is applied to the front footage of the property. Generally, on a square or rectangular property, that's measured as the width of the property abutting the street. On this project, we have two types. So that is, we have a mill and overlay and a rehab. And so depending on where you live in the project, you'll be assessed at one of the two assessment rates. For a mill and overlay, the rate is $42.50 a front foot. For a rehab, it's $90 a front foot. On this map, you can see the different assessment rates, which again are based on the type of work being done. We've estimated that the project will cost approximately $2.5 million. That includes all of the costs associated with construction, contingencies, and fees. The funding for this project comes from three sources: special assessments, an MPS cost share, and a city cost share. As noted previously, special assessments on this project will consist of front footage assessments. In total, the assessments are expected to generate approximately $527,000. MPS share is expected to be $290,000, and the remaining approximately $1.7 million will be funded as a city cost share paid through general property taxes. If you have general questions about the project, please feel free to reach out to the engineering contact listed below, or by email or by phone. If you have questions about the construction access or schedule or scope of work, please reach out. I'd be happy to speak with you by phone or come out and meet on site. Lastly, please let us know if you have a sump pump line or an irrigation line in the boulevard. Often we only find out about these things after we've dug them up. So if you have one, we can mark it and we'll do our best to try to avoid it. You may be required to relocate it if we can't, but we do try to avoid damaging them. If you are interested in receiving periodic email updates about the project prior to construction and then also during construction, you can go to the city's website and click on notifications. There is a spot where you can fill in some contact information, select a project, and then submit that to be placed on a list. And then when we send out updates, you'll receive those emails. Lastly, if you have questions specifically related to special assessments, please feel free to reach out to the city's special assessment coordinator, Amy Seifert. If you have questions about rates or amounts or how the whole process works, she's the one that you'll want to speak with. And if you made it this far in the presentation, we want to say thank you. Thank you very much for your time. And again, please feel